For today's rainy day Grimm adventure, we find ourselves about an hour south of Atlanta, in a town known as Senoia, Georgia. When it comes to the world of horror, Pet Sematary 2 was filmed here, The Walking Dead was filmed here, but today we have a different treat in store for you. You see, we're here searching out the filming locations to The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It.
This case,
The Devil Made Me Do It case. It was an infamous, internationally renowned case.
Yeah.
A trial of Cheyenne Johnson.
Yeah.
Which was, I believe, the first time in the history of the court of law in the United States that that the council tried to claim
that demonic possession was used as an alibi, as a reason for committing what ultimately became manslaughter.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is that it stays. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
And testify that what occurred to this young boy and Arnie Johnson was indeed diabolical possession. But I could understand the judge's feelings too. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to be known as the judge who allowed The Devil Made Me Do It case into his courtroom.
Right. Okay. I guess this is an article that talks about you.
The devil made him do it. And the devil did make him do it.
Oh, yeah, we were
Arnie Johnson was under diabolical possession. He didn't know what happened for at least 2 hours. In that 2 hours, he had killed Alamo.
The family, the parents, Judy and Carl Glatzel, this took a terrible toll on this family.
Now, is this one of the priests that was in the house?
That's the exorcist.
He was the exorcist?
Yes, he was. And he was very, very badly affected by this case.
The first shot in the movie is of this house right here. This was the Glatzel house. It's a nighttime establishing shot, but this is the house where the exorcism takes place of the little boy and when the demon jumps into Arnie. Man, it's beautiful.
Leave him alone! Arnie, don't talk to him! I said, leave him alone! He's just a little boy, you coward!
Set your heart on fire! 2, 1, go! 3, 2, 1, go!
Now, every time you see this house, the family house, it's always from this angle, except for like a barbecue scene, which was around back. But there's a really cool shot of when the priest shows up, the car parks and he gets out and he stands and he looks at the house from pretty much right where Jessica is standing. It's like a nod, a throwback to The Exorcist. When it comes to the Conjuring movies and Ed and Lorraine Warren, we absolutely love them and the stories and the horrors, the nightmares that they give you. Now, what's really special about The Conjuring Part 3, it's a Part 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, is they filled the movie with all kinds of nods to horror movies. We just mentioned The Exorcist, but also in this house, if I remember correctly, there's The Exorcist that they tip the hat to. There's Psycho, whenever the little boy is in the shower scene and it starts raining blood. Well, blood comes from the shower head. There's like a little throwback to Child's Play whenever he runs across the room with like the knife and he stabs his dad in the leg. There's a few more throwbacks to some well-known horror movies here at this house. Now, whenever the family's moving in and like this memory scene, we got the moving truck over on the left-hand side, and over on the right-hand side of the walkway is the family vehicle. It's a throwback to whenever the family moved into the house, the farmhouse in the first Conjuring. The yard was filled with everybody's possessions, But also, this is the scene where David Glatzel, the little boy who gets possessed, goes upstairs to find his bedroom, and he finds the waterbed. It's a throwback to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, aside from the establishing shots of the front of the house, you actually see the side yard or the backyard a little bit later on in the movie whenever the family is having a picnic. Now, that side yard would have been right here, actually right next to the blue house. Now, the camera would have been set up across the property in the far corner, facing pretty much right where Jessica and I are standing right now. And Arnie, he goes inside the house for the tray, the plate of meat. And then we get a couple different scenes in there. For instance, one where the box of cereal falls over and it gives you the impression that something supernatural is happening, but it's really just a mouse.
Okay, you know what that means, don't you? Actually, mean he proposed. Not exactly. Did you say yes? Not exactly. Arnie, can you bring out the tray with the meat on it?
Oh, yes. I'm starving. You starving, bud?
Yep.
Okay. I'll go get the meat.
But then he sees the hole in the wall, and that pretty much catapults him into this like torrential, demon-possessed world. And the house that can be seen across the street when the family's having the picnic is this one right here.
Starving. You starving, bud?
Yep.
Okay. I'll go get the meat. Ow!
Now here's a little tidbit of information that might make your head spin. If we look at the house in a different angle, you see that water tower that's off in the distance? That's Main Street of Sonoya, where they filmed The Walking Dead. So technically, it's kind of like the same universe. Oh, baby girl, I'm not gonna lie. I could stand here all day and look at this house. I love this house. This is the perfect day to do a Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It video. But we have other locations that we have to visit, so we have to get moving. I knew there was no way in heckins that we were going to get on this property. This old hospital that's been closed since May 8th, 2012. It's not abandoned. They use it only for filming purposes. I can't even begin to tell you how many productions were filmed here, how many movies or TV shows were filmed here. They filmed all the hospital scenes from The Walking Dead here. But for us, for the purpose of this video, this was Brookfield Hospital. This is where Ed Warren was taken after he had his heart attack.
Daddy!
Lorraine, you have to call Arnie. It's got Arnie.
Now there are security people up there. I thought about flying our drone up in the air, but they did come down here to say hello to make sure that we didn't get on the property. But if you look right about the center of your screen, you can kind of see the front door, the overhang, that white portion of the building. Right there is the establishing shot from The Conjuring 3. The Devil Made Me Do It. I love saying that. Another place that we're not going to be able to get into is the prison where Arnie was held. I tried doing some research to confirm where exactly it was filmed. And to be honest, I think it's the same prison that they used in The Walking Dead. And I say that because in the establishing shot in the movie The Conjuring, you can see these 4 towers. And then in some photos of a prison from The Walking Dead, you can kind of see the same layout. Don't know for certain, but I think it's the same. It would make sense because The Walking Dead was filmed down here and The Conjuring was filmed down here. Right? The same universe. There's a dog barking off in the distance. And what we're looking at right now is the Brookfield boarding kennel. This is where the murder took place, where Arnie was possessed by the demon. And he committed the murder. It's still here, the same, it's still here, it hasn't changed at all. I don't think I said this at the beginning of this video, but this entire movie takes place in the town of Brookfield. And there was a hanging sign that said Brookfield Boarding Kennel hanging right there from that second floor balcony down onto the porch. Now here's the thing, whether you believe it or not, Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It is based on actual events, like based on a true story. There is a town known as Brookfield, it's up in Connecticut. At some point this year our plan is to visit it, but for now it's just the filming locations and covering the story. In fact, a couple blocks down, a very creepy scene took place. It's very striking.
Stay right there, okay? Don't move.
I think I heard someone.
We now find ourselves at the intersection of West McIntosh and Vaughn. And one of the most striking scenes from the movie happened here. After Arnie commits the murder, you see him walking past this intersection, or walking down the street, and he's covered in blood, and he comes across a police officer. And it took a little bit to find this location, this exact intersection, but let's walk through it. In this scene, the camera is facing this way down West McIntosh. And if you look up the road, you see where the road bends? There's some mailboxes up there. Those same mailboxes can be seen in the movie. In fact, that's how we found the spot, because one of the mailboxes says 1602. Now in this scene, the cop car comes down the road just as Arnie is walking the same exact way Jessica is. His arms out, and you can't tell by this angle, but he's covered in blood. The camera turns to right about here as Arnie is walking, obviously possessed, not really know what's going on. You can see those buildings in the background. Hey. And as he does this, you can see the cop behind him turn around with his lights and his siren on, because, well, you're about to find out he's covered in blood and Arnie did something bad.
I think I heard someone.
When people found out that we were coming to Atlanta, everybody was like, you got to do some Stranger Things or the Walking Dead filming locations. And we were really dead set on doing The Conjuring, because one thing's for sure, all the Conjuring movies, every location, almost every location that they chose to make the movies, they're kind of memorable, they're kind of spooky. And what a perfect day, this rainy weather. It's not exactly cold, we've had colder days, but this is just perfect to do this kind of video. I'm sure at some point we'll come back and do something Stranger Things, but The Conjuring is where it's at. We now find ourselves in Newnan, Georgia, out front of the courthouse that was used in The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. It's a pretty ominous building, isn't it? It's inside this building where Arnie was on trial for murder, and he pled not guilty by reason of demonic possession. In this scene, Ed and Lorraine Warren are coming out of the building, and Ed's in a wheelchair. And this is where we find out that the prosecutors are going for the death penalty. And these are the steps. You can see those columns clear as day.
This is ridiculous. I can walk down a flight of stairs.
Oh, hush, you shouldn't even be out of bed.
Now we know that this is the right area because there's another side of the building. It looks almost very similar. But if you look right over here, you see those buildings across the square? You can see them in this shot. Well, from a different camera angle. In fact, Jessica's pretty much standing exactly where Lorraine Warren was standing. I mean, you can see that the curve and the bench right behind her, the grass, and then the building. That S is still there.
This is a really busy town square, and it makes a lot of sense to use the lesser busy back entrance, as it were, because back here, not so many people. But if you go around up front, there's so many people just all around the shops and everything. And I love that I'm looking right at another shot right there.
The memory scenes of when Ed and Lorraine Warren first met, which was a movie theater, was also filmed here in this square in Noonan, Georgia. The place is called the Alamo Theater. Right after Ed has his heart attack, they're in the hospital and Lorraine is telling a priest how she first met Ed. They were young, 17 years old, and Ed was working at a movie theater, and in the flashback scene, Lorraine can be seen walking up to this building right here with a group of her friends. And it still has the light up sign that says Alamo on it.
Did I ever tell you the story of how we met?
Well, I don't think so. Just that you were young in high school, wasn't it?
We were 17.
In the flashback scene, Ed and Lorraine are walking through a park or like a town square, and it starts to rain, so they take cover inside a gazebo. And remember, this is a memory of how they first met. That gazebo comes back at the end of the movie whenever Ed surprises her with it in their own backyard. The road to Father Kastner's house is a long one. And what I mean by this, where they actually filmed the house and the road to, they're pretty much an hour apart. Right now we're walking across a covered bridge in Stone Mountain, and it's beautiful. And we have our drone. Remember when I said that pretty much every Conjuring movie, all the locations that they choose, it's like they choose the spookiest places of them all? I really wonder why they chose to film all the way up here in Stone Mountain, about an hour away from the actual locations from the movie. But you gotta take a look at this bridge and you gotta go, man, it's creepy. This screams like The Conjuring, doesn't it? They pretty much only came here for this one scene. A few driving shots, they cross the bridge, then they're at Father Kastner's house. And the shot that they use, there's an aerial shot, a camera flying over the bridge. And of course, we have our drone. And if you didn't know this, its name is Ghostly Swoosh.
Father Kastner.
I didn't hear the car pull in. Would either of you care for an omelette?
No, thank you. We had breakfast before we left. I'm Ed. This is my wife, Lorraine.
I have chicken shit on my hands. Okay. Don't you talk to my jokes. Don't you be talking to my girl.
Now I'm gonna say this is as close as we're gonna get to that establishing shot of Father Kastner's house, and you can see the road where the Warrens would have been driving up to it. Man, this is cool. I love this. I love old mills. Now this is cool. We now find ourselves at the location that they used for Father Kastner's house. And there's a really cool scene that they filmed on the front porch. We're gonna get to that in just a moment. But more importantly, this was the entrance. Down in the basement, Father Kastner had a daughter. He wasn't supposed to have a daughter, but he had a daughter who turned out to be basically a devil worshiper. And in the basement of this building is how you got down to the altar. But here's the movie magic. You ready for it? What you don't see? This park on the other side of the water is a main highway. You don't see it. You can hear the cars, but you don't see them in the movie. The Warrens park their car and they walk up to the building and they find Father Kastner right about the center of your screen at the bottom of the steps, tending to his chickens. You can even see those rocks in the background.
Father Kastner.
Didn't hear the car drive in.
Pretty much right where Jessica is standing is where they do their introductions, and we get this funny little scene. So the camera shows back and forth Father Kastner's point of view and the Warrens' point of view, and the Warrens, behind them you would see this parking lot. You can, in fact, you can actually see some of those white posts still there. But Ed Warren reaches out his hand to Father Kastner to shake his hand because he's a nice guy. And what does Father Kastner say?
I have chicken shit on my hands.
That's right. And then they go inside.
I'm Ed Warren. This is my wife, Lorraine.
I have chicken shit on my hands.
The very next scene is right here on the porch, where the Warrens show them pictures of the object, the bone object that they found that turns out to be basically the curse put on by a devil worshiper. Now, that bench that's right there, I'm not sure if it's the same bench. It's the same bench? So in the movie, it's right where Jessica is standing, and that's where Father Kastner would have been sitting when they have their conversation.
And Ed was right where you are.
Ho, 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 ho.
Forget you ever saw this.
You've seen it before?
No. But I've seen ones like it. This is sophisticated.
Now look at this view. Now it should be noted that this is a free park, that anybody can come here and just kind of chill out and relax and come and visit this place. And you should. I mean, anytime you get a chance to just kind of stop and take a breath, why not, right? Now the very next scene, Father Kastner takes them downstairs in the basement to show them something that they need to see. Now here's the fun thing about this. There is no basement here. There is no basement at the Alamo. Different movie, you get it. You can pretty much see right through to the other side. So that, of course, was filmed somewhere else entirely. Man, the power of water, right? Well, at least the sun is coming out. It was raining earlier. We were unsure if we're going to be able to do this video today.
We keep calling it a basement because that's what normally would be under houses, but in the movie, they walk down a flight of stairs that goes into a sort of basement type finished area, but that then leads into a series of tunnels that's underneath the house in the city, I guess, and eventually you find the altar that his daughter is worshiping at.
You are really going to think I'm crazy for this one. We really are going all over God's creation here in Georgia, tracking down the filming locations to this movie. Right now we are in North Georgia, in a place known as Chatsworth, I think it is, not too far from a monument known as Talking Rock, and it is really freaking cold. I'm talking like 36 degrees right now. And Jessica doesn't deal well with the cold, so she's about a mile up the road, keeping warm. And I decided to hike basically a mile and a half down a mountainside to get a look at a cliff that could be seen very quickly in the movie The Conjuring. The devil made me do it, but it's a really cool scene. It's worth it. Basically, in the movie, Ed and Lorraine are helping a detective find a girl that went missing. And in return, he's gonna help them out with a case that they're working on. And they go to this remote area. I don't think it was filmed here. It might have been filmed in Stone Mountain. It could have been filmed here. I can't find any record of it. But there's this scene where they go into the woods and Lorraine Warren does her thing, and it goes from light to darkness, and she starts reliving this memory. And she goes running into the woods, and she almost falls off a cliff. That's where I'm going to go visit, the cliff and the dam that can be seen in the movie. I am almost there. That's the cliff and the dam behind me. but in order to get the shot that we need, we have to walk further out this way. You can see the dam going across the water right there. It's getting cold, but it's worth it. Now, if this was in season, you can practically drive back here because there are campgrounds, and there's even an island that you can camp on, but the only way to get there is by canoe or some sort of boat. So if you come out here during the winter, you got to do this. You got to brave the cold. It's all for the channel. Or if you come out here, well, during season, you can park back here. This is the parking lot I'm walking through right now. The pump house and all that jazz. Oh, this is nice. It looks like I can get right down to the water and look up at the cliff as well as the dam. It's like a little boat ramp. Feels like I'm the only person on Earth right now. I talked to one of the ladies at the visitor center, and she confirmed that, yes, a film crew came out here to film a movie. They were out here for about a week, setting up lights and getting everything that they needed. But they didn't tell her what the movie was, so she didn't know. So I was the first person to tell her that it was the movie The Conjuring. She thought that was pretty cool. Oh. Yeah, this is it. Wait till you guys see this. Now this is beyond cool. This is 100% the cliffs and the dam from The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm seriously geeking out. And from right about there is where Lorraine almost goes over the edge, but her husband Ed saves her just in the nick of time. I can't believe we made it all the way out here just for this.
Lorraine?
I tried searching the internet for any kind of behind the scenes photos or videos of them filming this particular scene, and there's really not much. There is a small video that I found where it's a nighttime shot where you can see that they built the ledge to the cliff and they were filming there. So again, I really don't think the actors were up there. It's more than likely built on a soundstage. And here's a closer look at the actual cliffside, and there's absolutely no way that they had the actors up there dangling over the edge. There's no room. That and, safety concerns. This is just a quick stop at the motel that Ed and Lorraine Warren were staying at in The Conjuring. In real life, this motel was called the Cheshire Motor Inn, but in the movie it said the Bruno Motel, and there was a sign right there.
Oh.
In the middle of the night, the Warrens decide to break into a funeral home so Lorraine can make contact with a girl who died recently. That funeral home in the movie is known as Palmeri Funeral Home, but in real life, it's the office for the Westview Cemetery in Atlanta. This building right here. Now keep in mind, this is in the middle of the night, but Lorraine and Ed, they walk up to the doors and she knocks, she peeks through the window, and there's nobody there.
There's nobody there.
Then we get a shot from the outside in, and this is where Ed gets the bright idea to break the glass window with his cane.
Leave a note.
And with that being said, thank you for joining us on another grim adventure, this time entering the world of The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. Happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck just comes my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.